Welcome to another episode of the No Ceilings Podcast. I'm Tyler Metcalf, joined, as always, by Tyler Rucker. Rucker, how are we doing?
Fantastic. Good evening, Draft Maniacs. I'm doing really good, Metcalf. It was a big day today. Very, very pumped up for this episode. Woke up at 3 a.m. because I was so excited. Anytime we're about to post a mock draft on No Ceilings, it's like Christmas morning for me. So yeah, I'm in rare form right now. How are you doing, sir? How's the week going? It's an exciting time.
I'm fantastic. Tyrese Halliburton went absolutely bonkers today in the in-season tournament. Always fun.
He's good. He's good.
It turns out he's good. Weird. Also getting full on into Christmas mode. So got the Christmas tree. Haven't decorated it yet, but spent most of my afternoon climbing around on the roof, hanging lights, and being, as my wife would say, irresponsible and not safe enough. But I'm good. I didn't fall off, so we're all good. House looks great. I cannot wait for Christmas. One of the best times of the year.
Did you go Clark Griswold mode and light up like every single bulb possible, or what?
No, I haven't taken down the city's electrical grid yet. So I figured, first Christmas in the neighborhood, take it easy on this one, and year by year, I'll start stepping it up.
Yeah, that seems very, very intelligent. I think I've watched every Christmas movie with my wife like 15 times already. So yeah, I'm ready to go. I'm running out of options. I feel like when in doubt, you just throw the Grinch in the rotation. Just great, So yeah, it's a great time of the year.
Enough Christmas.
Enough. Everyone knows why we're here.
It's mock draft episode. In case you missed it, NoCeilingsNBA.com. We published our first group mock draft. Go check it out, 100% free. For the No Ceilings Plus members, we will be putting up the recording of that. It was a process, but we got through it. So if you want to be privy to that recording and that video, and kind of our deliberation as we went through picks and some of our struggles, some of our disagreements, all of that kind of fun stuff, go subscribe, NoCeilingsNBA.com. Otherwise, just go check out the mock draft. We have a ton of write-ups on everyone in the first round, but today we're just going to run through the composite mock draft and kind of go with what we liked, fits, didn't like, all of that kind of stuff. So, Rucker, we're just going to start 5 at a time through the first round. Starting with the first overall pick, Detroit Pistons, we went Alexander Sarr. Number 2 to the Spurs, we went Stephen Castle. Number 3 to the Wizards, we went Nikola Topic. Number 4 to the Grizzlies, we went Zachary Risache. And 5th to the Trailblazers, Cody Williams. Let's start with the Pistons.
Yeah.
There were a couple different ways we almost went with this. How do you feel about where we landed with Sarr?
It's a tough one. It's funny because every time we do these War Room mock drafts, they usually get easier, I feel like, for a while. But the first mock draft's always just absolute, like you're at the dentist getting your teeth pulled. Because it's just everyone's passionate about, getting back into the groove of things. And we could tell right out of the gates with this one where it was like, oh boy, this is going to be a real battle. And I think it started right out of the gate. I feel like we usually get to like the 5th or 6th pick and then there's a pause. It was right away. It was like, oh gosh, heavy debates, heated conversations. But I do think Sarr was the right pick for Detroit. I get the upside. It's a very, and we're going to say this probably 15 times on this episode, Metcalf, but it's a very troubling draft.
Yep.
There is a lot of excitement about some talent. And when I say troubling draft, asking everyone, I'm dying to talk to someone around the league that is excited. And everyone's just like, I don't get any excitement. Like, it's just unbelievable. So I don't know. It was tough, but when it comes to Detroit, I know everyone's, giving them a hard time with their, their games lately and losing streak and all that fun stuff. I think this is still, you got to keep push it forward. You got to keep adding the pieces. And I think Sarr is another great piece that Jalen Duren looks fantastic. I saw he's going to be out for a little bit. Get healthy, big fella. But add Sarr's defensive potential. He doesn't need to be your offensive force. Sarr and Asar Thompson sound very fun to groom. Cade's Cade. I don't know. I still like that pick. What about you?
I'm okay with it just because of the upside that he still provides. I think the biggest selling point with him is the defense. The shot is promising. I think I buy it, but I think a lot of his offense is still really theoretical. I really like him as kind of an off-ball play finisher. The catch and shoot stuff, the pick and pop stuff, the rim running. I think a lot of that stuff could really complement Cade at a really high level, but I think the fit next to Duren would be iffy at best. I asked a scout in the league if he thought Sarr was if he could play 4, and before I could even get the question out, he was shooting it down and saying no, he's absolutely a 5. So that was a real good boost to my self-esteem.
I don't mean to interrupt. Those are my favorite moments when you talk to people around the league when they ask a question and they're just so passionate to be like, hell no. And I'm like, all right, well, the coffee wasn't kicking in, but now I just feel like it. But it's also funny because they explain and they're just like, I can't stand it, and it ends up being a great conversation. But it's just funny when people are so passionate to get it. So go ahead.
Yeah. So I still think there's a little bit where he could, potentially, especially if the shot really does come around, and maybe we see a Timberwolves-esque Twin Towers lineup with him and or with him and Duren. But there's also a lot of PTSD there where they've been playing a lot of 2 big lineups this year, and it has been dog shit. It has been flat out awful. They are arguably the worst team in the league. Them and the Spurs are, really duking it out. But that's my biggest hesitation with it. I still think Sarr probably has the most upside. He's number 2 on my board. The name I threw out right away, though, was Jacoby Walter, and I still think that that's where I would lean with this pick. I know it doesn't feel like a traditional number 1 pick, but I still really like Walter. I think he would fit perfectly on this team. I know with the number 1 pick, you don't necessarily want to be drafting for fit, but I think there's a ton of upside there still. So that's where I would lean.
I think I was with you. I think I was like, I know it was one of those, like, we all just took a deep breath and we're like, Jacoby could be there. And I was like, please, Lord, not a point guard. But Detroit has to figure out who is part of the puzzle moving forward. They got to figure that out this year. I'm convinced you got Cade, Duren, Asar looks like he's going to be fine. You've got to figure out what you're doing after that. What is the direction of the team? Do you want to add something alongside Duren? Fine. Do you want to add something along Cade that might fit a little bit smoother than the Jaden Ivey experience? Fine. It's just like we have to figure out what you do. Like it's movie scene. Like, what would you say you do here? Shout out Office Space. It's just they got to figure out what's the direction of this team. What do they want to be? Like, do they want to be this tough interior presence? Right now, we've kind of seen it not really work out great. Do they want to become a floor spacing team and surround Cade with a bunch of shooters? Maybe Jacoby makes sense, but I'm right there with you. It's an uncomfortable number 1 right now. Mm-hmm. It's like but also like if a guy just starts kicking ass and is the top prospect and it's a guard, I don't know if it makes like Detroit's going to have to convince someone to come up in a draft in which people aren't going to want to trade up to go get a lot of people. It's just a really awesome, chaotic year. And I love every second of it because it's just created so many good conversations on the side with really talented evaluators.
Absolutely. At number 2, Stephen Castle. Spurs desperately need a guard. I think the 3 names that we kind of threw out here were Castle, Topic, and Collier. They were fans of kind of all of those, but I think Castle just kind of nudged it out in the end. At number 3, though, the Wizards. I thought this one was really interesting, and we ended up going Nikola Topic. I think another team where they desperately need someone in charge, a better decision maker, a better playmaker, someone who elevates the play of those around them. They have some really intriguing scorers on the wing and stuff, but there's not a whole lot of maturity going on there. So, where did you land with Topic and the Wizards?
The funny thing was we did this and I kind of was like, I'm sure we're going to get some reactions in the public space because everyone loves mock drafts. And then I feel like we saw some mainstream ones kind of having the same vibe. And I was like, okay, like, guess we're not crazy all the time. I guess we know our stuff. I think Topic is okay. All right, fine. Here we go. So I talked to one of my favorite connections and I was just like, hey, like checking in. What do you think of the year? She's just like, I don't get it. And I was like, oh no, your go-to stuff is international scouting. So I'm really scared if this is what you're starting off with. He's like, I don't get any of it. Like, I don't get the hype. He's like, Topic's that high. Like, come on, what are we doing? I was like, oh boy, we're in December. This is going to be a great couple of year or months. I get Topic. I think he's getting hype in a draft that's lacking star power. I think if he's 6'7" with fantastic playmaking, a lot of teams could use that. The shot will be the question. The Wizards, like, they just need to keep hitting picks. Like, Koulibaly looks fantastic for them. I think they're doing a great job of letting him build some confidence and get some more playing time. But now you need to hit again. You need to get another one. Everyone knows how I feel about the Jordan Poole experience, so I don't want to stay on that one too much. But I just think Topic could be a really good addition for them. What do you think, Metcalf?
Yeah, I think the 3 names that were kind of thrown out here were Topic, Jacoby, and Collier. I immediately shot down Jacoby because I'm not letting them destroy another one of my fun shooting guards. So that came off the table pretty quickly, and I think that was more of just kind of a talent BPA type of kind of proposition there, because I still think the fit there is kind of messy. But Topic and Collier, I think, are the 2 names that really deserve a lot of credence here. I lean Topic just because I think his playmaking and decision making and ball security is leagues ahead of where Collier is right now. I'm intrigued by Collier. I think there's a lot to really like there. The shot's been way better than I expected. Still very low volume. I think I might buy his shot a little more than Topic's. I'm not super excited about either, but the way that Topic constantly gets to his spots, gets everyone involved, and is just putting up bonkers numbers by the game in a pro league, it's really impressive stuff. And when you look at the kind of other pieces that they have on that team already, obviously, I don't think Poole and Kuzma and Tyus Jones are long-term options necessarily, but Poole and Kuzma, at least next year, have the scoring capabilities where they would put up awesome numbers, with Topic setting them up. Koulibaly would help insulate his defensive woes quite a bit. Denny would help with that as well. Gafford, some rim running stuff with Topic, because we haven't really seen what Topic's lob game looks like, because he doesn't really play with a rim runner at center. I'm blanking on the name, but it was Tennessee center from last year, Plavsic or something like that.
Oh, yeah.
He's more of a kind of pocket pass, drive and dump, type of pick and roll scorer. But I think there's a lot to like there. And then if you're just taking a swing, we saw that Washington's front office was more than happy to take a huge swing in last year's draft, going with Koulibaly, someone that we're really intrigued by, but was probably one of the more long-term options at that spot. He's already kind of paying dividends and looking the part of an NBA wing, and he's just scratching the surface. So for them to take the long-term view again and really just take a swing on a guy like Topic, I think makes a lot of sense because he already has 2 absolutely elite skills for a prospect with his rim pressure and ability to finish there, along with his playmaking.
I'm right there with you. I think it would be a good swing. That's what you want to do with a rebuilding team is if you can be patient and let guys get experience, get some run, get some confidence, get playing time. You can pay off in a big way if you're patient. A lot of ownerships and stuff don't have patience, which I understand. It's a business. But the smart ones allow the team to develop, allow these players to blossom. So I think Washington's doing it right with Bilal Coulibaly right now, and Topic would be another worthy swing. I really do believe so.
All right. Looking at the rest of the top five, Risa Shea at 4. He's just been playing really well this year. I think this is kind of they've yet to really hit on a big swing at the wing position. They've obviously hit with Jaren Jackson, John Morant, but that and Desmond Bain. But the Zaire Williams swing hasn't necessarily worked out. And I think that this would be a perfect fit in terms of his skill sets, and then kind of a similar mindset with Cody Williams, who has been looking more and more confident by the game. But he's been really, really impressive this year.
Cody looks great. I think that's the name that could start to really heat up with a couple of big performances. That's also when conference play starts coming around. If Cody Williams keeps doing this against Pac-12, are we even allowed to say Pac-12 anymore? But if he keeps doing that against tough teams, that's going to really get scorching. And he's been fantastic. I think we've said this on previous pods. We thought it was going to take longer for him to start gelling, and he looks really good. And he looks really good, Metcalf, and he's just realizing how good he can be.
Yeah.
And there's so much potential ahead of his game. That's why it's really exciting. But yeah, and I think I've told you before we hit record, I think this is going to be a draft in which low ceiling guys, might get a little bit more love.
But what about no ceiling?
Exactly.
Yes.
I was trying to think of a joke, but I don't have the brain power. But like Risha Shea,
yeah,
could be enticing to teams because he might offer a safer player, that like a prospect that what he can bring to the table early on. So,
which is bonkers considering where we were 6 months ago with him.
Yeah, 6 months ago we were like, hey, maybe I could take a swing on him at the end of the first, and if it hits, like, now we're like, oh, top 5. But I do think it's just going to be interesting. And I want to tell everyone this, like, there's such a wide range. It's more than ever.
Yeah.
Like next mock draft could be completely flipped. Like there's a lot of questions still. So that's all I had.
All right. Let's move on to 6 through 10 after we take a quick break.
Metcalf all over
Okay.
I'm working the graphics.
All right. And we're back. Yeah, that'll be a fun edit.
Yeah.
Okay. So with the 6th pick, we had the Charlotte Hornets taking Ryan Dunn. At 7, the Bulls with Isaiah Collier. 8, Jacoby Walter to the Jazz. 9, Justin Edwards to the Trailblazers. And 10, Reed Shepherd to the Spurs.
You pick, Metcalf. Where do you want to start? This is a gauntlet of just people. I mean, I can already see the comments flowing in. This is a gauntlet.
Yeah. This one was messy. I guess let's start with Ryan Dunn. Feels high. It feels high. I like him a lot. I really do. I like his fit there. The defense hit the defensive pairing of him and Mark Williams would be so much fun. But man, it feels kind of high for a guy who's not doing a whole lot of anything on offense besides cutting.
I love him, and it was like a very quick, like, yeah, I like Dunn here, and I was like, what? Like, it was one of the easiest picks when it came to, like, I was like, there's no more debate. And the problem is because I think it's just fit, and we were trying to be like, okay, like, was Jacoby another name we said there?
I think Jacoby was the other one.
Jacoby kept coming up, and no one, we couldn't like all get in. Like,
yeah.
Because like we said this before, for anyone that doesn't know this, we debate, everyone nominates someone, and then we kind of, when it gets heated, we go, okay, let's take it to a vote. And then from there, if there's a tie, we basically limit it to like
always is.
it's always a tie. And someone has the deciding vote and just smiles and then votes to make it a tie. And we're like, you jerk. But like, and then it would go down to 2. And it's like, okay, you got to pick between 2. But it felt like Dunn was one of the easiest ones because everyone was like, well, Dunn, Mark Williams, Brandon Miller, LaMelo. I was like, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. But is 6 right now? Like Metcalf just said, I love Ryan Dunn.
Yeah.
He's one of my favorite guys in this draft. But 6 for a guy that, I'm not trying to put them in the same conversation, but Asar went early, but Asar was an unbelievable playmaker.
Yeah.
Like crazy vision. Just he had more to offer immediately. Dunn is just this same type of freak athlete. Don't get my words twisted. And just an unbelievable defender, but there's not a lot of offense.
Yeah.
So if we look 2 months now and Dunn's taking high volume threes and shooting 40%, yeah, he's going 6, top 5. But I don't think that's his game. And we talked about this before. I don't think he's going to be a guy that we're like, oh, he's averaging 6 threes a game. I don't think that's what he does.
That would stun me. And I think the mechanics are okay, but there are a lot of times where he just doesn't even look at the rim when he's wide open on the wing. And that concerns me a little bit, where it's like,
I think it's like more he wants to be playing smart team basketball when it's like someone needs to be like, Ryan, shoot the ball. Like you could just shoot it. And
that he'll never get told that in Virginia's offense.
No, never, ever.
But
they want to win 30-28.
Collier at 7 to the Bulls. This one kind of felt like BPA take the big swing. They're rebuilding. I don't know. Collier's fine, I guess, for me. I thought
let's talk about Collier. Come on, don't cut corners. Let's talk about Collier. Because I was shocked. I feel like I was pushing Collier early, and there was not a lot of love from the No Ceilings crew, and I was like, wow, interesting. Because I also get to a point where I'm like, hey, what's realistic? Like I can be projecting someone at some point, but I'm like, what's realistic here?
Mm-hmm.
And Collier's tough because the talent is undeniable.
Yes.
He has the tools to be the number 1 pick. Mm-hmm. He has the tools to be the number 1 pick in this draft. The questions each game are getting louder. And they're legit questions. They are legit red flags that can be fixed, but they are legit red flags that are getting louder when you talk to people that are important around the league. Those questions are getting louder, which is a very loud endorsement this time of the year, if that's already coming up. You usually get that type of stuff like later on, but like it's the turnovers. He's averaging more turnovers than assists, I think, if I'm correct off of memory. I made a graphic today and I forget.
Yeah. Okay. 4.6 turnovers, 4.5 assists.
Yeah, not great, Bob.
That's a lot of turnovers.
The defensive effort, I'll say this. It's gotten to a point where we were all like scared talking at No Ceilings in the group chat of like, am I being a prick or is his defensive effort? I'm not kidding. I got a text from someone on our team. I feel like Metcalf also texted me where it was like, am I a jerk or is his defensive effort kind of, poor? I did trying to find a better way to say it. And I was like, no, I don't think you're a prick. And then like all of a sudden Gavoni tweets it and I was like, okay, I guess we're all seeing something. So it's all stuff I think can get fixed, but it's stuff to pay attention about. And I think people were like, how is he going 7th here? And it's like, because fit. And at some point, best player available. That's just my thoughts. I'm fired up now. I love these episodes. I love them. What do you think, Metcalf? I mean, is 7 ridiculous to fall right now?
I have him at 10, so no.
You love to see your DMs after
you can message me at Tyler _Rucker.
Yes, you can. You can.
It's fine. I think taking a swing on him at 7, especially to the Bulls, makes sense, and I wouldn't be upset with it by any means. The shot has been better than I thought it would. It still looks kind of funky. It's still low volume, so I'm not entirely convinced. The Like you said, the defensive stuff it's just not good. I think some of the on ball stuff is okay because of how strong and physical he is, and when he really wants to, he can move his feet. But I hate guys like that where it's like, oh well, when he wants to, it's like, okay, well, if we're saying that every single game that we watch of, man, the defense was bad except for those 4 possessions where he really locked in. It's like, all right, well, what about the other 90? Um, that's really concerning. And it's mostly the off ball stuff where once he's not directly involved in the play, he just shuts off and he gets caught ball watching and he gets back cut and he's 4 steps behind chasing through screens. Um, that's just really, really tough to kind of, that's a really bad habit to work out of a young player. Not impossible, but it's tough. The playmaking is incredible. I love his ability to get to the rim, play bully ball, generate fouls, get to the line, find guys on kickouts and dump offs. Um, but the turnovers are obscene right now, and I think the ball sticks with him a lot. Like when it swings around the perimeter and gets to him on the opposite wing, it's always catch, pause, then survey, and now I'm going to figure out what I want to do. And a lot of the time, it's all right. I'm going to back it out, call for a screen, and then we're going to go from there. That split decision, attack the closeout, or split, pull up right away, or make that extra pass right away, it's not there as much as it should be for a guy as creative of a passer as he is. So maybe some of it's just my kind of reaction to expectations, to perception. Because from what I've seen, which is a good amount, I'm not seeing a lot of the guys that so many people are trying to pump up. Not saying he's bad or untalented or unworthy of a top 5 pick. Just it's a much bigger lottery ticket in my eyes than in some others.
The highs are absolutely awesome.
Yeah, his highlight tape and just raw numbers at the end of the year are going to be insane.
The highs are as good as anyone.
Yeah,
like I watched just his like highs. Like I was just trying to be like, okay, I want to see when Collier's cooking. What does it look like? It's very exciting. It's very fun. He's a bully when he gets in traffic. People bounce off him with relative ease. He can finish. He's tough. The playmaking's impressed me. There's a lot of really good stuff. But I think you're spot on with everything. Like there is concerns defensively with ball watching, effort defensively. The ball sticks. A lot of his highlights are like you said, where it's like, oh, he brings the ball out and then it's like, okay, here comes a clear, pick and roll, like a lot of clock. And I've watched a couple of games. Oklahoma played them really tough, and he was doing some good stuff in the first half. And I feel like second half, like hadn't even attempted a shot or something for a lengthy run. And I was like, whoa, what? You're the guy. You're supposed to be top 5 pick.
Yeah.
You can't be going almost a half of a second half without shooting once. Like you got to come on, let's go. So check-ins. It's what we always do. You got to wait and check in on guys and see what happens.
Last thing with him, he's listed at 6'5". You buy that?
No.
Okay, moving on. Number 8, Jacoby to the Jazz. Didn't love the fit, but BPA. And
I still like that fit, and I think it's excited about it. Yeah,
I think it's clumsy.
All right, okay.
The Jazz have been playing Keontae at point pretty exclusively, which I think is going to be really good for his long-term development. But a lot of that's been pretty rough. They have no playmaking on that team right now, and it really shows. Jacoby, I love him to death. I think that he's a better passer than the numbers suggest, but he's not helping their playmaking woes right away. Justin Edwards at 9, just another swing on a wing. Reed Shepherd at 10 to the Spurs, pairing him with Castle. Interesting. Yes, no.
I mean, I'll we got a lot of Spurs fans in the chat. I love Spurs draft for what we did for them. I get Castle at 2 and Shepherd, like it fixed the backcourt quickly. No, I loved it. I thought it was a great pair of picks. It was just funny. Shepherd, when we got there. It was a very loud. Everyone was like, "Yeah, Reed." And I was like, "Oh, okay, I guess we're in." Like, but it's just this is always just fun stuff.
Yeah, I don't think we need to go too in depth on him. We did last episode.
Yeah, we did last episode. Edwards at 9. Over under where he'll be next mock. Let's just make a fun bet. 15.
Oh, earlier than 15?
Yeah, will he be in the lottery next mock draft?
I think he still will. If you're going to set at 9,
I don't know.
Over on that.
A lot of time, but we'll see. I'm rooting for him to turn it around, but he's running out of time. He's got to get something going.
Yes, he is.
You're not moving him. You got to do something. Be snappy. So,
okay.
Right.
Let's move on. Let's move on to 11 through 15. So at 11, we had Donovan Clingan to the Thunder. At 12, Ron Holland to the Hawks. 13, Modest Buzelis to the Thunder. 14, Kyle Filipowski to the Rockets. And 15, Rob Dillingham to the Pelicans. Where do you want to start?
I mean, there's just a lot of heat here. So the floor is yours, sir.
No. You're taking
I'll take one.
You're taking this one.
I think people are going to freak out about number 12 and
13.
And no, I don't think the 13 was as big of a curveball as number 12. But yeah, actually, yeah, okay. I don't think that's that crazy. I thought Ron Holland was still going to end up going in the top 10.
Yeah,
he's not Sean Marion, so we need to stop that. We really need to stop that. We had a good someone said that, and I was like, hey, if he was Sean Marion, this draft would be easy. He's not, but he's very exciting talent. I think he's going to require a lot of patience this year, as this whole class is. We have to remind ourselves, everyone, just patience, be patient. But Ron Holland at 12, I know that seems lower than most people would expect. I think there's questions with him. I think they're legit questions too. What about you? Where are you at?
Yeah, same. I mean, there were definitely people pushing for Holland as early as 5. So his name came up quite a bit. But I think
here we go. I'm telling you, here we go. D. Steven. Wow, Ron Holland 12. How the mighty have fallen. And Dirty Dancer, who we always love. I don't get Edwards over Holland at all. But I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. I think Edwards is trending downward quickly. I think Holland could still bounce back.
Oh God, yeah,
and be fine.
Yeah, I think there's just a lot of inconsistencies in his game that need to be cleaned up. I wasn't overly impressed with him when we were in Portland for Hoop Summit drink. I thought a lot of the stuff during practice was mediocre at best in terms of work rate and effort being put in, attention to detail, all that kind of stuff. I thought the vast majority of players there were way more impressive. Obviously, he's one of those guys where once the game tips off, he just switches that flip and hits that whole new level of intensity. But what type of limit does that put on his ceiling? I'm not sure. I need to see some more consistency with him. Obviously, doing that in a pro league like the G League is a lot to ask, but that's why you go there, is to be put in uncomfortable situations and come out better on the other side. So I think he's still in the right spot to do that. It's just early season struggles. What it looks like a month from now, 2 months, 3 months from now, that's where the real key with him is going to come in. And just, for those of you hopping in the live stream here, just a reminder, this is not Ruckers and I alone.
No.
This is everyone at No Ceiling. So, 9-10 of us who are there.
We have write-ups. So we had write-ups. Go check it out on the site. It's free. We have very detailed analysis from everyone. But yes, this was it wasn't, we got to 12 or it wasn't, we were just bashing Ron Holland the whole time. It was a consensus, everyone voting. And we were like, hey, Ron Holland's going a little later. Okay, fine. But I think, an interesting thing is okay, well, why wouldn't Holland go ahead of Edwards? And I don't want to spend too much time on this because we want to move forward. But I think teams are trying to figure out what Edwards is right now, because the 3-point shot, he was projecting to be this outside shooter. The shot hasn't come around yet. Kentucky's asking a lot of him as they're waiting for the bigs to kind of get back into the rotation, get healthy. So he's doing a lot of stuff. Dillingham's look great. We're going to talk about him in a sec. Reed Shepherd's look great. There's just a lot of stuff. It's very, very early, but I think Edwards needs to start putting together some performances, because I think if the shot starts to fall, you're at least in theory thinking like, okay, maybe lower ceiling, but outside shooter, 6'8", good size. We'll see with Ron Holland. I also think Holland's like I think he's 6'6", right?
Yeah, he's been listed anywhere from 6'6" to 6'8", and I
It's
do
amazing.
not think he's 6'8". I think he is much closer to the 6'6".
We'll see. Well, we'll see. Who else do you want to talk about? I don't want to go too crazy on that train.
Modest, we need way more.
Way more from
before
Modest.
we dive back in there. Filipowski at 14 was a bit rich for me. Is fine.
I think he's going to end up there though, but I hear you. I think Dillingham's the one that could.
That was fun. I was really excited about this fit. So
I was too. I also like clinging to OKC. I think
he's been.
That's
fine.
a great fit if he ended up there. But
just thinking about the long-term Dillingham Hawkins backcourt, that gets me excited. That gives me a lot of shooting there, a lot of athleticism, a lot of fun. And then they get to be insulated with the defense of Trey Murphy and Herb Jones. And, Jose Alvarado off the bench and Dyson Daniels. That I love that fit. I think it's a real fun injection of creativity, of scoring, of shooting, of playmaking into a point guard spot in a team that I think is kind of lacking at that position where, aside from injuries, if I kind of had to point out like one apparent weakness of them, is that kind of lack of a true point guard. So yeah. I think that would be a really, really fun long-term fit.
I completely agree. Moving forward.
Yep. All right. At 16, we had Trey Alexander to the Miami Heat. At 17, Dalton Knecht. Is it Connect or Knecht?
I think it's Connect.
Are we pronouncing the K?
I like the Connect. I think it's Connect, like Connect 4.
Well, apologies to the Connect family. So Dalton Connect at 17 to the Cavaliers, Tyler Smith at 18 to the Pacers, Adem Bona at 19 to the Pelicans, and Kevin McCullough at 20 to the Knicks. Where do you want to start?
No, I did last time. You got to start.
No, you barely did it.
I think McCullough's going higher than 20.
So do I.
He has been one of the most impressive players in this entire draft cycle. I mean, he's almost averaging 20 a game. His shooting splits are fantastic. He's still being a pest defensively. He just looks like the dream upperclassman, Metcalf. Like he looks like exactly what you dream of a guy going back and working on their game each year. So I think he looks fantastic. I think he's going to take advantage of this class having questions. I think some team's going to look at Kevin McCullough and be like, safe. Give us that. We'll make that work. That'll work for us. And
I'm not saying they're the same player by any means, but they're going to see what the Heat have gotten from Jaime Jaquez this year.
Yes.
And, what other teams have gotten from upperclassmen who have been able to contribute right away. And they'll be like, why don't we just take Kevin instead of this lottery ticket? Again, not saying they're the same player, but that comparison, it happens a lot. And rightfully so with McCullough, because I think he's arguably the best team defender in this class. Really good cutter, good rebounder, good passer. And now the corner three is there. So I absolutely love McCullough. And I think having that kind of ready-made as a rookie can be, but that ready-made guy going to New York makes sense.
Absolutely. What else are you thinking?
Let's talk about Dalton.
Let's talk about Dalton.
I think he's going to go before this.
I do too.
I
really, really do.
I
think everyone needs to buckle up.
I don't think top 10 is totally out of the question with him if he keeps playing like he is right now.
He is. Third Dancer said he doesn't like the Dalton defense, and he's still late first. Here's what I'll say about Dalton. And here's what I'll say about this draft. I think this is the draft in which find the NBA skill right away.
Yep.
Like more than ever. What is he going to bring to the table? I know everyone's going to be like, well, he's good, but what about his defense? This might be the draft. You're like, teams are going to be like, what can he do? We we don't care about finding the all-around prospects right now. We need someone that could just help us because this year they're going to be more in demand than ever. And I think Dalton's offensive game at 6'6", 6'7", with his athleticism, he's a very sneaky athlete. Very impressive when I watch him. I'm like, this kid can float when he wants. He's aggressive. He's got the right mentality. He's got a scorer's mentality, and he can shoot the crap out of it. If you can find that, that is going to be a hot commodity because all this happens is he has a great year shooting. He's going to average about 18 or 19 a game. Then we're going to get to the workouts for the pre-draft, and he's going to shoot the cover off the ball, and teams are going to be like, oh, this is great. So I'm right there with you. I mean, you watched that North Carolina game. They were getting their ass kicked, and he was basically bringing them back into even having a chance. He's attacking the basket. I think he's just a damn good player. So I'm right there with you. It would not shock me if he keeps just climbing a little bit and we're just like, oh, Dalton's in the lottery. Why do you like him so much, Metcalf? We haven't talked about him much.
6'6", 3-level scorer, really good athlete. In this draft, that's enough. That's more than enough for me to be like, yeah, fuck it, why not? Really good shooter, movement shooter too, not just standstill stuff. Consistently getting to his spots in the mid-range, attacking the rim. For what it's worth, I think the defense is bad too. But I do think he's very slowly taking steps in the right direction, kind of game by game. I don't think he's ever going to be a great defender, but I think those offensive skills are enough. And him being able, my big hesitation with him coming into the season, aside from the defense, was I thought he was just going to be a perimeter guy, and the scoring was purely going to be 3-point stuff. And not the case at all. He's getting out running in transition. He's dunking on guys. He's, hitting mid-range pull-ups. I'm very, very, very in on Dalton. And, shout out to Maxwell for that early season call out. A little bit of this or that. Dalton or Topich.
Okay. Whoa. What? Also, we have to start making you answer these too. Well, so you just give me your answer right after. Okay, so Topich for me.
Yeah, same. Dalton or Cody. Same. Dalton or Reed Shepherd.
Reed.
Same, but it's close.
It's getting close.
Dalton or Dillingham.
I have them back to back. So right now I have Dillingham.
Stop copying my board.
I swear. It's always creepy because we're very close.
Dalton or McCullough?
McCullough.
Oh, okay. I have them back to back, but switched. Dalton or Modest?
Modest, but I mean, I just go ahead, move on.
All right, that's all I got on Dalton. Anyone else in this kind of bunch that you want to dive into?
I'm trying to look. No, Tyler Smith's been great. I think that he's going to be a sneaky player that teams are going to like a lot. I think Trey's going to bounce back. That would be the classic if he ends up there. I'm still high on him. We'll see if things level out. He had lightning quick start to the year, kind of slow down, but no, that's all I got. Unless you got any other thoughts.
No, just I think two of the more polarizing guys among the group are the No Ceilings group, where Trey Alexander and Adembona, where handful are very in on both and a handful are very out on both. So this kind of felt like a bit of common ground to have them go in that range. I don't know.
It was interesting.
I'm cooling on Trey.
Yeah, I'm cooling.
I still like him, but some of the red flags are becoming kind of glaring.
I'm not there yet. I think this is a stretch of him that it's also tough when guys are handed the keys.
For sure.
And I don't care what anyone says. That start you could not keep that start up. Like Reed Shepherd, as great as a start he's had, he ain't going to be able to keep that up. So you have to level out, but it's how do you level? How do you come back down and how do you respond? That's my biggest thing when I'm saying. So like Trey had a couple struggling games. I want to see how he responds. If he bounces back and has a couple really good 4-game stretch, I'm gonna be like, all right, okay. But I don't know. I get it. I'm cooling a little bit, but I don't know. I also think maybe he might be a guy that we're all overthinking. So we'll see. We'll see.
Very easily could. We'll move on to 21 to 25 right after our last ad break. All right, we're back. At 21, Phoenix Suns, Tyrese Proctor. At 22, the Atlanta Hawks took Khalil Ware. At 23, 76ers took Lil Bub Carrington. 24, PJ Hall to the Knicks. At 25, Oso Iguodaro to the Nuggets. Boy, oh boy, what a group.
Yeah, it is it's the wild card group. Sort of.
That's one way to put it.
Where do you want to start? PJ Hall and Oso are trending in the right direction. I think PJ is going to be one of those sneaky picks that just keeps like, oh yeah, he's really playing some good hoops. Oso, I'm convinced, is just some team's going to fall in love with being like, there's our backup big. PJ Hall's been doing work for Clemson. He's been impressive. Where are you at?
Yeah, and PJ just kind of steadily grows on me by the game.
Yep.
I'm not in love with him, but some people are throwing him out around pick 20, if not earlier. So that they're a couple of very big fans, and he's kind of steadily trending the right way across a myriad of sites. So I think we're going to start seeing him mentioned in the first round a little more consistently. Just kind of versatile, does the little things. Oso, I'm not there. I get the intrigue, but he's just not my cup of tea.
I think he's a great pick if you're getting him at the end of the first round. If you have a big, he's your backup big, he's your rotation big. And that's why, like, when we put him to Denver, I was like, this is a fit that makes a ton of sense because it does, because he can play good defense, he's a good shot blocker, and he's got some good feel and playmaking. So you take Jokic out of the game, you put Oso in there, he's got good size. He's not going to get played off the court because of, doesn't understand. I'm never going to be at a point where I'm like, oh, Oso's a lottery pick, because I think you could get other higher upside. But if you're a team like Denver, we just saw that they do this. They added Julian Strother. They add guys like this that are just give us the guys that are upperclassmen that are going to be expecting to hit the ground running, and they're going to hold themselves accountable. And I think Oso will probably be a good intel guy. Like, there's just a lot of stuff I can see working in his favor. So I get the hesitation because last year I couldn't have been further out on Oso, but I just watched him against was it UCLA and Purdue? I was getting confused.
Yes.
Or was it against it was UCLA Purdue. He looked great. He looked like a very good player, just solid.
Yeah, I'm just going to need more time with him, which is a weird thing to say about a guy that I've watched for multiple years now. Khalil Ware to the Hawks at 22 was way too rich for me, but there were some who were very passionate about it. I think theoretically it makes some sense, a little pick and pop, big. The shot blocking numbers have been good. I think Mike Woodson has done a terrific job in putting him in spots to succeed this year. I think he is being used way better than he was last year because he's just purely playing center and just going block to block, not being asked to do stuff in space unless it's standstill threes, which has helped boost the numbers. Rich for me, I don't really get it, and I kind of get it, but I thought Carrington to the 76ers made a lot of sense. I know the red flags with him, with the lack of rim pressure, are starting to become a little more evident. But I think with the Sixers, that's kind of just a nice fit where he's not going to have to do too much and over exert himself, and he can be a good shooter. He can facilitate for others and learn behind guys like DeAnthony Melton and Tyrese Maxey, obviously, as he kind of continues to figure out his game.
I'm still believing Bub. I'm still believing.
Same.
I'm not
I
out.
the lottery.
I said before when he was impressing, I said this is Judgment Day stuff now. Like you have to showcase what you can do when you are the target. He's got a target on his back now because everyone's paying attention, and I think he's bounced back. He's had some rough outings. He just had a nice little solid performance, showed some really good flashes. Like there's still really good flashes. And if he's legit 6'5" freshman, some NBA team might be pulling him to be like, no, you can stay in this year. Like, come on. But we'll see. I think that's someone that this huge upcoming weeks for him, like months when it comes to conference play, just huge games coming up that he just needs to put together another solid stretch. And then I think that buzz will start to heat up again.
All right, let's move on and round out the first round here. So at 26, we had Pacomi Dadier to Indiana. At 27, Trayvon Brazil to Orlando. At 28, Kobe Johnson to the Bucks. At 29, Otega Owe to the Celtics. And at 30, Tyler Kolek to the Timberwolves. Where do you want to go?
I love this range.
I really like this 5.
It's a really good 5. And I know people are being like, what? But oh man, looking at this range right now, like these are my guys. I just like them a lot. I think Brazil's finally starting. He just had a big performance, so he's starting to heat up a little bit again. We'll see if he can keep doing this and put some consistency.
And I mean, the Magic had to move on from Mo Bamba, so they can just bring in Trayvon Brazil.
Moving on, Kobe Johnson at 28 seems like a really good sneaky pick. I feel like he's also one that could just keep climbing. Pacome, I love. I was a little shocked Pacome went in front of Saloon, and I feel like I'm the leader of the Pacome Dadier fan club. We have some members that are very excited.
Ignacio was really pushing the Dadier train.
I know, and I was very proud of it.
Very adamant. And No Ceilings Plus subscribers can experience that when we post that video. But he's starting to figure some stuff out.
He is, and I've heard good stuff. I think he's going to heat up. I mean, this is the guy that impressed me since Basketball Without Borders last year. He got hurt in the offseason, kind of was playing catch up. The Ratio Farm Ulm's really good team this year. Like they have a talented roster, so he's earning his minutes. He's very young, 6'8". I think he just turned 18 or so. Yeah, so he's very young, very talented, very fluid. So I liked a lot of these picks, Metcalf, and I liked Kolek to the T-Wolves. Yeah, I really did. He is so much fun, and if anyone hasn't, his press conferences, he's a quote machine. He's unbelievable.
Imagine him and Ant.
Oh gosh. But, I mean, that's a crafty player that I think teams know what his limitations are. You know what he could bring to the table, and you put him in the rotation. That's smart. Otega Owe, I love him. I think that would be a Celtics pick if Stevens ever makes a first round pick. But I loved all those picks. I was like, yeah, that's a good range.
Yeah, how many of these 5 do you think end up moving up or down when it comes to next draft?
What would you think? I would say Kobe moves up. If I had a bet on one, I would say Kobe. Maybe Brazil. Brazil would have to really get cooking.
It wouldn't surprise me if always closer to 20 than 30.
Me too.
Next one, I think Kobe moves up just because it's that consistent 2-way impact. Won't shock me if Dadier moves up. I think if come next mock draft, it wouldn't shock me if this 5 was almost directly swapped with the 21 through 25 grouping.
I agree. The funny thing is, too, for everyone listening, like if you start seeing the mainstream boards and stuff, you can see when someone's starting to get a little bit of buzz. Because if all of a sudden out of nowhere they've magically appeared on the board, or they've magically moved up 10 spots, it's like, there's some breadcrumbs, and that's the fun part we love. We love when we get the buzz, and then we start seeing like everyone else is hearing some buzz too. So, good range. We moving on.
Yeah, let's just kind of fly through the second round here. Okay. We'll go 10 at a time.
All right, I'm going to try to show graphics fast.
All right, at 31, AJ Johnson to the Knicks. I still think AJ's going first round.
I do too.
32, Alex Caravan to the Pistons. 33, Izan Almansa to the Spurs. 34, Alex Tui to the Timberwolves. 35, Garway Dual to the Bucks. 36. Oh, how quick are you?
Oh, I'm on fire. Come on, baby. Let's roll.
36 to Jane Saloon to the Celtics. 37, Ariel Hukporti to the Blazers. 38, DJ Wagner to the Knicks. 39, Tristan Newton to the Clippers. And 40, Yves Missy to the Rockets. Whole lot going on. I think a handful of these could very easily go in the first round. Where do you want to start?
Man, I would say I watched Tristan Newton play basketball, and I get to a point where I'm like, why not Tristan Newton in the first round? I get it. He's older. I think he's a super senior. But if that outside shot is consistently coming around, that man is just a damn good basketball player. So that's my hot take right there. I think people overreact about where he ended up, but I think that's right. I think Saloon could go in the first round. I think you put it perfectly. A lot of those names could be going in the first round. Tui's a dark horse to get up there. I'm pretty out on Almansa right now.
Yeah, same. I think the low man of the group coming into the year, and
yeah, you were good there.
Feel fine about it.
It's early. I'll wait and see.
Yeah,
it's
for sure.
Just he's not showing anything in areas in which I'm like I'd be getting excited if he showed me anything here. The jumper's not there. I don't think he's ever going to get drafted to be like, oh, we're going to feed Almansa in the post. So it's tough. But it's also a guy that ends up in a great fit, and it's just like, oh, he plays this role really well. But I don't know. What else did you think?
Yeah, and I really, really think that guys like AJ Johnson, and even a guy like Trenton Flowers, who I don't think we even had go in this top six or go in this draft, and I was pushing him for quite a while.
Yes.
I think there are still major flaws with both those guys, but I really, really firmly believe that both Flowers and AJ Johnson are going in the first round because of the contract situations and the ability for team control and the ability for these teams to immediately put them in their strength and conditioning, in their culture, in their system, and develop them in the G League for at least a year. So I very passionate about both those guys going in the first. Couldn't convince the group, unfortunately.
No, there's a lot of guys like that.
I love Tui to the Timberwolves. Garway, he struggled recently. The shot just isn't where it needs to be. His on-ball creation is so much fun, super shifty. The defense is awesome. Just might be a sophomore guy, and unfortunately trending in the wrong direction currently.
And we should have said this earlier, but I didn't for everyone listening. Like there was like 10 guys that we were all very excited about, very intrigued about. And they're all like freshmen. And we we're all like, I don't think he's a this year guy. Yeah. And we were like, right now, he's not a this year guy. Cause we got to a point like Elliot Cadeau. We brought him up very early and everyone it was almost like just a huge pump the brakes moment because we were all like, okay, we need to talk about this. Like Elliot, we all liked him. A lot of us liked him a lot in the preseason. I think I had him lottery preseason. I've still seen some good stuff, but I was like, I don't think he's a this year guy. And everyone agreed. So I was like, it doesn't make sense for us to project Elliot Cadeau to go 53rd when he wouldn't declare. He would probably stay another year. So we were just like, okay, whatever. But there's a lot of guys like that, like Caleb Foster, Jared McCain. Garway, I feel like, was right on that fence where we were like, hey, is Garway in that conversation? And I love Garway. I really think he is a damn good basketball player, that it's a matter of time. But right now, I would think he would be another year guy. But there's also guys every year that shock the shit out of us and say, I'm staying in. And we're like, what? Why? But promise season. So I don't know. That one was interesting to me because I was like, well, if he stayed, I think someone would try to be getting him earlier, but you never know.
All right, moving on to 41 through 50. At 41, Dylan Jones to the Thunder. At 42, Bobby Clintman to the Lakers. 43, Donovan Dent to the Trailblazers. 44, Aaron Bradshaw to the Pelicans. 45, Miles Kelly to the Rockets. At 46, we had Adai Mara to the Clippers. At 47, Dylan Mitchell to the Heat. 48, Zach Edey to the Pacers. 49, Juan Nunez to the Spurs. 50, Wooga Poplar to the Celtics.
I mean, Edie to the Pacers was just too funny. No, it was actually like a. Okay,
I think he
that
goes
makes
earlier.
sense. I do too. The thing I will say about Edie, and we've said this on previous pods. I'm just going back to the other picks, but we've said this on previous pods. Someone's going to take the gamble. Someone's going to say, if it works it's either going to work for us or it's not going to work for somebody else. I think Donovan Dent's the wild card to watch too.
6'2" Sharif Cooper, you mean?
Can he shoot better than Sharif?
Not entirely, but that's why he's 6'2" Sharif Cooper.
I think I buy a little bit more. He's just one you need to start watching closely.
The shot comes out flat and he doesn't elevate at all. Much better around the rim.
Yeah. We'll see.
Well, not much better, but he's 6'2" instead of 5'11" or whatever Cooper was. Definitely a name to keep an eye on. I think he's the best playmaker in the country right now. Mara, I'm pretty out on. I just don't see it. Also,
I think I got vicious with him on my board, but go ahead.
Just kind of surprising to me how far Wooga Poplar dropped. I'm clearly the lone fan of him.
Where do you have him?
I think I have him. 1 second. Let me filibuster. 23.
Okay. So I'm going to need to definitely. I can't jump in. I'm outside of the lake and I can't jump in. I'm standing and looking at the water. I'm wanting to believe, but I can't do it. He seems like he's talented, but I still got him like late 30s, early 40s. But I feel like if I move him up, it's that next step of belief where I'm like, okay, I'm in, but he's been fantastic to start the year. I'm not complaining if the Celtics got him where they got him in this mock draft. So it'd be great, but I'm trying to think of anybody else. I just can't get in on the Bobby Clintman experience, but I think a lot of people were trying to kind of.
Interesting.
Are you saying that sarcastically?
No, I have him in the first round. I have him at 22.
On Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you don't always. I mean, we're not always right, but
I tend to be. Please,
I just can't.
My old boards.
No, it's just it just seems like an idea, but I need to. I'm waiting. I'm very patient with these guys.
I get it.
Anybody else?
No. Let's move on to finishing this draft off. Okay. So 51. Riley Kugel to the Wizards, 52, Adu Thiero to the Kings, 53, KJ Lewis to the Sixers, 54, forfeited to Adam Silver, 55, also Adam Silver swooping in, 56, Baba Miller to the Rockets, 57, Jalen Bridges to the Pacers, 58, Tristan Da Silva to the Magic, 59, Harrison Ingram to the Nuggets, and 60, Milan Momcelovic to the Hornets.
You pick.
Kugel's probably the big name to talk about.
Yep.
Him going to the Wizards feels like Jordan Poole 2.0.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's one of the more frustrating evals for me because some of his stuff looks like an all NBA level scoring guard, like creating like multiple crossovers into a turnaround fadeaway mid-range jumper that's heavily contested and it's nothing but net and it's one of the prettiest shots you'll see all week. And then the very next possession he'll try and make a pass and it doesn't get within 10 feet of its target, and the same shot that he just drained misses by 5 feet. I don't know. I still have him in the first round. This felt like a really, really, really aggressive drop to me. But there's some in the crew who just are out.
Dirty Dancer, good comments. Said the Silva's too low. Boswell should be drafted.
Yeah, I'm going
As
to
a
see more
very,
Boswell.
very big Arizona Wildcats fan, bear down. I understand why Boswell's getting a lot of love. I have doubts. I'm a little bit more patient, but we'll see. If he keeps this up, he's making shots.
Yeah.
When he's making shots, shout out Corey. Corey says, looks good when it goes in. When he's making shots, Boswell's good. But when it's just the rest of the stuff, we're gonna get a little bit of a rough stretch, and I want to see what he does then, and then he'll start to heat up in my book. But I think if you're looking at that, KJ Lewis is the name to watch out. I loved watching his high school stuff. Corey was pumping it too, and I was like, yes. And I've been impressed every single game he gets on the court. Freshman, physical. He just fills up the box score, knows how to play. I think he's going to be a guy that really starts to make some noise throughout the year, especially if Arizona keeps playing good, because he just comes in and makes an impact right away, and he's just oozing with upside. So that's one of the names I like. I also think Harrison Ingram has shocked me. He looks way better.
Yeah.
Way better. I saw him with Albert 2 years ago when he was at Stanford. We saw him in Vegas. I was like, man, he looks a long way away. And he looks like his frame is filled out in a great way. Like he's turned that. He's a little doughy before. Shout out. That was Albert's terminology, not mine. Message me at Team Metcalf 11 if you have complaints.
How dare you?
Now he looks like bulky. And he's playing a little aggressive. I've loved what I've seen from him so far. So it's just an interesting one. We're seeing a lot of upperclassmen look like they're starting to find their groove finally, and I think this is the year to take advantage of that. Well, who else did you have thoughts of?
Nothing overly pressing. Tristan DeSilva is a name that will probably rise on the next one. Some fans,
Are you
skeptics.
a fan?
I'm not a fan.
Where do you have him?
Where do I have him? 39.
Sell me on him. Like, is it just a smart, like, oh, he
smart defender, knocks down spot up threes.
Isn't there a lot of those? No.
Yeah, but I mean, in this draft, why not? There are some who are a lot higher on him. I don't necessarily buy a whole lot of on-ball stuff with him. But I mean, this probably isn't a perfect comparison because he's not quite the same level shooter. At least I don't. No, never mind. It's a horrible.
No,
comp,
say
so
it. No, say it.
I was going to say Sam Hauser, but I don't think that's even apt because they're the inverse of each other. I think best case scenario would be more of like a Grant Williams type player.
Really just playing the strings of my heart with a couple Celtics.
just
shout out
just
Grant,
like
former
those
Celtic.
kind of toolsy forwards who they're not going to create their own shot. They're not going to create for others, but they can finish a play. They can, play defense. So I know some who are very, very high on him.
Yeah, I can't drink from that I can't drink from that cooler. Who didn't get drafted or who didn't get mocked that you were shocked by? AJ Mitchell's the big one for me. I was appalled.
You did bring him up once.
Yes, I did. I out loud, I could quote it if you want me to. I was like, I am shocked that there has been no love at all for AJ Mitchell at this point of the draft. This is ridiculous. And I even said, I know Rowan's a fan too. And you guys just nothing. I was like, well, cool. So everyone do your job because you haven't watched AJ Mitchell film. He's averaging like 23 games. So yeah, it gets pissed. I get pissed off in there. Everyone gets pissed off in there. I think someone nominated someone for like 10 straight picks. And I was like, I'm about to pull my hair out. But
I started mentioning Trenton Flowers around 27.
He's looked better. I think he should be
when he's gotten minutes. When he's gotten minutes, he's put up numbers and he plays hard every time he's out there. I don't love him. I know some scouts do. I know some other analysts do. I'm intrigued, and I think he's worth taking a swing on in the first because of the extra year and the guaranteed contract and all that stuff that goes into it. But not having him in here, I get it because of some of the tape is pretty rough, but I think there's a lot to still be really intrigued on. Couple other names. Scotty Middleton fell into that group. Doesn't necessarily think he's a this year guy. Bucket, so he kind of fell out.
Friendly reminder, someone brought him up today on the private Discord, and I pointed out that after his first 10 games at Ohio State, Malachi Branham was averaging 6 points a game. So I was just like, some of these guys, it just clicks out of nowhere and you buckle up. But it's just like that with a lot of freshmen. I think I brought up Jared McCain a bunch. I was like, he deserves to be drafted. And then it was just like, okay, if we're having that conversation about he's a next year guy, I'm fine with it. But it was a heated one. It was a heated mock draft. Who else?
I was kind of surprised no one really went to bat for Melvin Ajinka.
Was a little shocked.
I've fallen out of love, but I thought there would be some kind of hey, why not him conversations. The other name that is just on the fringe of my top 60, Gibson Jimerson from St. Louis. This dude is going to play in the league. He rocks. His name is ludicrous. It is absurd, but the kid can play. And you haven't watched him at all yet, so
no, I haven't.
So how about you do your job?
I watched a little bit, but I'm not gonna I've got way too many names, and if I'll throw him on the list. I'm trying to move people up of like who's knocking on the door and getting in the top 60. I'm excited for everyone that doesn't know. It sounds like Bronny's going to make his debut Sunday. That'll be fun. I'm sure ESPN's pumped about it. I just think there's a lot. It's just, Matthew Cleveland. I think I'm on that train with you that he probably should have gotten a little bit more love, but I think it was a lot of guys that are like, I've already been hurt before. I don't want to get hurt again. Like, it's just a lot of wait and see with some of these people. Keyshawn Johnson of Arizona is going to get drafted. So that is a guy that's going to be an NBA team is going to just scoop him at like 45 or something. But if he keeps playing this way, let me put it that way. So
I'm glad you brought up Matthew Cleveland because I have him at 35. And a whole bunch of words coming on him at NoCeilingsNBA.com on Friday. So go check that out. What you're gonna ask?
I have him lower, but I just realized I need to revamp this whole stretch of this board. So yep, I gotta go back to the lab tonight. I don't know anyone else that I wasn't like shocked about.
Yeah, I don't think shocked. I'll just say two other names to keep an eye on. Kind of deep sleepers. Eric Reynolds from St. Joseph's, kick and play. Electric scorer, really fun. And then Keyshawn George from Miami. The more I watch, the more I think he might be the best long-term prospect on that team.
Yeah, I mean, there's people already asking about Terrence Shannon Jr. And I feel like it's been Groundhog Day where I've had this conversation like 8 times. So I'll get around to watching TSJ.
Do you want to have that conversation right now, or do you want to give it a week or two?
I mean, you can. Have you watched him closely?
I've seen a couple games this year, but I haven't dove super in.
Yeah, I haven't dove deep.
Impressive through 10 games, but we were here last year and the year before and the year before and the year before.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm going to give everyone a shot, but it's just one of those things where I'm never going to half-ass an evaluation. Like if I'm going to give Terrence Shannon Jr. a full report, I'm going all in. Like I go for everyone. So I just haven't gotten to that point yet. I've been watching everybody else. It's kind of weird. I mean, there's just been some names that have impressed that I'm wondering if we're going to pick up a little bit of momentum. Like, I don't. It's so weird with the freshmen that you love that are like, well, the stats have it backed up, but they look like they could be just super awesome sophomore prospects. And Elliot Cadeau is one I mentioned, Scotty Middleton, Caleb Foster. Like one of these guys seems like they might just swing and all of a sudden be like, okay, maybe it's more of this year, but you really just don't know. You don't know right now.
All right. That's all I got on the mock. Let's move on to our rookie wheel spin. This is just going to be real quick, new segment we're kind of trying to do
It's
this
gonna
year
be hilarious.
as we, we're going to try and keep doing more NBA stuff all year. We're doing it over at the site with written stuff, doing it more on pods. But I'm sure many of you listeners may listen to the Slam and Jam over on the Athletic Show. Shout out to Andrew Schlecht. They do awesome work over there. Him and Alex, really fun podcast. So kind of stealing this idea where they do their team of the week, we're doing our rookie of the week. So I just kind of took like the top 15, 16, 17 or so minute leaders for the rookies right now as other guys get healthy or figure out roles and that those increase. I'll add them to the wheel then. But let me just share my screen real quick and we will
are we just talking about him now, or we're going to talk about him next week?
No, we're going to talk about him next week. So we're going to
Okay.
spin the wheel now, and we're going to figure out who we're going to kind of cover in a little 10-minute segment.
I love it.
Next week to kind of go over what we've liked, what we've disliked, surprises, all that kind of good stuff. So just going to pull it up and hit the spin here.
Big money, no whammies, no whammies. Stop. This is fantastic. Tamani?
All right. Tamani Kamara, Portland Trailblazers. Bit of a deep cut right off the bat, but next
find
week
out how good we are at this. No, that's a good one to start out. Tamani's done some good things. I'm pumped. That's fantastic.
All right, so we will dive into Tamani's game. Maybe get a guess, maybe not. We'll see. Time and schedules permitting. But Rucker, as we kind of round out this episode, what is the best thing in the basketball world that you've seen recently?
I had a good one. What was it? I had a really good one. Steve Clifford yelling to set a screen was hilarious. I want to clip that up and just send it to Nick, our editor, for fun. Halliburton lately has been awesome. The Pacers, I think the in-season tournament, this is why it's actually such an awesome idea, is for teams like that who are trying to get to the next step of being like an actual team that's always contending for the playoffs, and they're trying to get that experience. You get that vibe now of like, okay, this is exciting, and they've been fun to watch. Halliburton's just a bad man, and it's funny because I have been watching him, SGA, and I'm like, these guys gotta be in the MVP conversation. And then I just, before we recorded, went and looked at Jokic's numbers this year, and I was just like,
oh,
what the hell, man? It's like, what is with this guy? Like, I think he's almost averaging like 30, 13, and 10.
It's wild.
It's just a beast. So, yeah, basketball's awesome. I know that's a little bit of a bold answer, but I feel like it's just been a lot of good stuff lately. What about you?
Hallie tonight went off. It was like 27, 15 assists and 7 rebounds. Just absurd stuff from him this year. I'm going to go with Keyshawn George, though, from Miami. I mentioned him in passing at the end of the mock stuff, but I think this is a guy who's going to really start kind of climbing up boards. Not a big time scorer, but his feel is through the roof. Really good at attacking the rim, really good passer, especially for his size, good defender, versatile defender. And I believe he is a late growth spurt guy too. So one of the broadcasts mentioned that Miami started recruiting him when he was 5'11", and now he's about 6'7", 6'8". Great throw. So I really think he's going to kind of start steadily climbing up boards.
Yeah, I get it. There's going to be some guys. Like there's always some guys that start making some noise. It's up next couple of board installments, we'll start getting some movers and it'll get exciting. But right now it is just wide open. It's crazy.
All right, Rucker, we've gone long enough. I think we'll push Green Room to next week.
Yeah, that's fine.
Give these guys a little bit more time to maybe dig themselves out of a hole or kind of make their presence felt. So this was a blast. Thank you for everyone tuning in on the stream. Really fun stuff. These are always a blast. If you want to read the write-ups, if you missed who we talked about, go check out the mock draft at noceilingsnba.com. It's 100% free. While you're there, if you can afford it, means the world. If you're able to support us with No Ceilings Plus, Maxwell has a really fun piece with his kind of focus solely on numbers and who really pops based on his model that's coming out on that platform next week. I believe it's next week. And then you also get access to a whole bunch of other stuff, exclusive articles, our private Discord, which has been a blast this year. So thank you to everyone who's been hanging out with us there, asking us random stuff. We love it.
Awesome.
All of you who tuned in, who are listening, who are reading our stuff, you're all the best. But if you enjoyed this episode, please make sure to subscribe, leave a review, and a 5-star rating. Until next time, see ya.